Hi and welcome to this video. Today we have a very basic video where we talk about Bitcoin, how Bitcoin works, why does it work so good, why you need it, and so on. I jump into the presentation now and you will learn everything you need to know about Bitcoin. Lots of people are asking me, especially a friend asked me to explain it again to him. I put together this presentation and I will use this video also to send to my friend to explain to him why he needs Bitcoin, how it works, and why it is so good. Bitcoin has everything to become the future of money, as we will learn in this presentation. We will explore what Bitcoin is, how it was developed, how the technical part works. I will explain it in very simple terms. The first question we need to answer, what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is simply digital currency, a form of money that exists purely in digital form. No physical notes or coins exist. Important to know, this is not the first digital currency. There have been some other projects trying to make a digital currency. They have been shut down, and the problem that couldn't solve is the double spending problem. Bitcoin is the first project which solved the double spending problem. What is the double spending problem? Well, it's like you have a photo on your phone. You can send it to one friend and then the friend has the photo, but you can also send it to loads of friends. And this is the problem. For money, this approach does not work. It cannot work in a way that you send it to one person, but can also still send it to other people. If you can do this, then there is no value. With the mining, with the nodes, with the system, how Bitcoin is set up, this is now actually solved. So you cannot double spend. It's decentralized. No banks or governments control it. The network operates through distributed computers worldwide. There's a lot of nodes and a lot of miners, as we will learn later on, and they help to keep the system decentralized. Decentralized means that there is no entity that you can attack. It's not a single entity. There's not a company. There's not a CEO, not a person behind that you can pressure. This is the beauty about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is the only asset in the crypto field that has got these advantages. All the other crypto projects have founders. Ethereum has Vitalik. Solana has the Solana Foundation and the founders. Every other project has got founders. There's projects like Monero that are a little more decentralized, and it's also quite the same setup as Bitcoin, but most of the projects, keep in mind, the governments would be able to shut down if they pressure them a lot, because they have addresses and you can send subpoenas or notices to these addresses and shut them down. In the case of Bitcoin, you cannot do this. There's thousands of miners, there's lots of nodes, there's a lot of independent people, and there's not one entity that you can shut down. It's the code. The code is the rule. There is nobody really deciding. Of course, there's developers, there's Bitcoin developers, there's a Bitcoin community that can decide to make changes, but there's no single entity that you can attack. It was created in 2009. There's the Bitcoin white paper. I've talked about this in other videos, that Satoshi created it and he solved the double spending problem. He looked at other projects that have been developing before, and then he also managed to solve the double spending problem. We still don't know, of course, who Satoshi Nakamoto was, if it's a single person, if it's a group of people, if it was maybe a government entity. However, we don't know, and we will probably never find out. Why was Bitcoin created? They didn't just come up with the idea out of nothing. They came up with the idea because of the crisis in 2008. We see here financial crisis response. Bitcoin emerged as direct reaction to the 2008 global financial collapse. We had big problems in 2008 with our economy, and the solution was born at this time. Bitcoin eliminates trust requirements, designed to remove the need to trust banks or other financial institutions. You don't need a middleman anymore. You can send it yourself to your friend, to your family. There's nobody in between who can actually decline the transaction, freeze your money, and so on. This is not true, of course, if you are keeping your Bitcoin on an exchange, if you have any other forms of holdings in Bitcoin where you are lending it and putting it on a lending platform, if you have an ETF, if you have a middleman in between, it's not trustless anymore. Direct transactions enables people to send money directly without middlemen taking fees or control. You have a little fee that is the mining fee to confirm the transactions. We will learn in a second how the mining works and why the network is so stable and why you cannot really hack the network. Key priorities of Bitcoin: a fixed supply, which is very important. Only 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist. Creating digital scarcity. We have a halving process. Every 4 years, this will halve. That's why it's called halving. Let's say this year they mine 100 Bitcoin. But in 4 years, when the next halving cycle is actually getting active, they will just mine 50. After 4 years, they will just mine 25 and so on. It's not just limited supply. It's also the supply or the mining amount is going down every 4 years. This will actually have the impact that the value needs to go up. We have now so much demand from these big players like BlackRock, pension funds, states, and so on. But we cannot print more. If this would be gold, then probably the gold mining companies would find a way to invest more money to get more gold out of the ground. The inflation will rise for gold again because there's the supply. With Bitcoin, this is actually going in the other direction and you cannot produce more. It's only 21 million. It's not possible to have more. Bitcoin is also borderless, so you can send value anywhere globally without permission or excessive fees. The fees are quite small. If you also send larger amounts, the fees are not increasing. This is a very good way. I've talked about this in my walk and talk this morning, that if you have gold and you want to switch countries, if you need to get out of your country, it's almost impossible to take your gold with you. The only way would be you have a boat and then you hide it on the boat and go somewhere else. But with a plane, you're not able to take your gold or any other assets. With crypto, with Bitcoin, you can do this. You just have it on a ledger, or you just remember the seeds in your head and you just go unlock it in the other world, unlock it on the other part of the world where you are. You just download a wallet, enter it to MetaMask, your 12 words, 24 words, and you have access to your money again. With Bitcoin, you're not totally anonymous if you have bought Bitcoin on an exchange. If you have used the exchange where you gave them your KYC data, then this wallet is connected to your data. When you send from this wallet to any of your other wallets, this will be tracked, and special entities or the governments will know that you are actually the owner of these other wallets, because it's very likely that you send it to yourself. It's possible that you send it to somebody else, but they can connect your wallets. The transactions are actually not telling anybody where the money went. If you just look on the blockchain, if I don't know your Bitcoin address, then I don't know what you spend or who spent it actually. The problem is if you send it to a friend and if you just use your wallet that you always use where you bought all the stuff with, he will be able to see how much you have in your wallet. This is not advisable. Also, if you buy something online, you should make sure never to send it out of this main wallet. The best thing and the easiest thing you can do is find an exchange that is not KYC, that doesn't require your data. You send the amount to this exchange. You pay a little fee normally if you want to withdraw it, then again, but you send it to this exchange. It will go into the exchange hot wallet. Then you send it to a different wallet. You make a new wallet and then you send it from the exchange hot wallet to your new wallet. This will help you to not reveal your identity and not to tell anybody how much money you have in your main wallet. If you use then your new wallet to send it to somebody, he will not know what you have in your other wallet because there's no connection. There's a transparent ledger. Everything that is transacting on this blockchain can be seen. That means that all transactions are public. but nobody knows your personal identity. You see all the transactions, but you don't know who it was, except the case that I just explained to you before. How does Bitcoin work? This is very important to understand. So it's an open protocol. Bitcoin runs on a code anyone can inspect, use, or contribute to. You can go to GitHub. GitHub is a portal where you can publish your code. It helps you to keep track of your code. You can go there, you can clone Bitcoin, and you have your own Bitcoin. The problem is you don't have the network, so there's no value. But theoretically, you can go there. If you're a programmer, you can also check the code. You can exactly understand what is in the code and how it works. It's a distributed network. That means that thousands of computers work together instead of relying on a single authority. This also means that it cannot be attacked. You can't attack all of the network. Global broadcasting, when you send Bitcoin, your transaction is announced to the entire network. This helps the network to keep safe. The Bitcoin nodes will look and compare if they have the same information. As we will learn later on, it gets distributed to all the networks. Every block that is actually going to be processed is then distributed, and it's a hash to make sure that the block that was before is actually the right block. You will learn this in a second. The blockchain, Bitcoin's core technology, it's also a blockchain technology like a lot of the other assets, but most of the assets work on proof of stake, not proof of work. Proof of stake is much easier to manipulate because players can have just a lot of money and then they have a saying in what is going on. The blockchain, what is it? A blockchain is a distributed digital ledger. It records all Bitcoin transactions in a continuous chain of blocks. There's blocks, and there's, you can imagine, like it would be a chain, and every block is on the chain. And every block looks back to the other block, and they know that this is the right block because the other block has got a hash. The blockchain is stored on thousands of computers worldwide. Each contains an identical copy. Why does this matter? Because this structure makes it almost impossible to change anything. As soon something doesn't fit on one of the computers, all the others still have the same information. The other information gets rejected. The history cannot be changed without consensus. This is the key. What is the anatomy of a block? It's a transactions list of all new transactions. In a block, there's new transactions inside. It has a timestamp when the block was created. There is a previous block hash, a cryptographic link to the previous block to make sure that this is actually the right block and it contains all the information and it's always the longer chain, and nonce, random numbers for mining the puzzle. It also has this nonce inside. This is basically a puzzle where the miners have to find. And if the mining machine finds or is able to solve this puzzle, this miner, this mining machine, this mining group will actually get the mining reward for spending the energy and everything for the mining. Chaining the blocks, how does that work? So the block creation, a new block contains recent transactions and references to the previous block. As we learned already, this is important to make sure that the blocks are actually valid. Cryptographic linking, each block includes the previous block's unique hash, forming an unbreakable chain. Every next block has the hash of the other one. With this hash, you can make sure that the other block is actually the correct block. Tamper resistance. Changing any information breaks the chain. The network rejects invalid changes. If you try to change something, but most of the blockchain information on the other computers notices that this is actually not the correct information, or if the hash does not fit from the previous blocks, it will be rejected. How is the Bitcoin mining actually working? So there's mining hardware. These are specialized computers, ASIC miners. So it's a special chip which is just able to do this job. There's just mining Bitcoin, can't do anything else. The process requires significant computing power and requires a lot of energy. You get a block reward. Successful miners receive newly created Bitcoin. This incentivizes them to secure the network and mine and keep the hashing power high. This process is called proof of work. The mining process proves that computational work was done. This prevents cheating and attacks. Let's now have a look at the role of cryptography. Your digital signature is a way to prove your ownership without revealing your private key. Public key cryptography secures transactions through mathematical verification. Cryptographic hashes, they create unique digital fingerprints for data. Decentralization and security, you have distributed nodes. These are these computers who have all the data of the blockchain. Thousands of computers maintain the network worldwide. Consensus rules, all participants agree on the same rules. Attack resistance, no single point of failure exists because it's so distributed. Validation, each node independently verifies all transactions. Let's look at the scarcity model in more detail. 21 million is the limit which will ever exist. If I hover over, we will see that in the year 2009, when it was released, we had a Bitcoin in circulation was 1.75 million, and the issuing rate per block was 50. So 50 new Bitcoin. Then we have in 2013, we have already 11.5 million in supply, and it halved to 25 per block. Then we had 2017, we had already 16,500,000 in circulation, and the issuance rate dropped to 12.5. In the year 2021, we had 18,700,000, and the issue rate is at 6.25. In 2025, we have 19,500,000 mined arrays, so not much left, and the issuing rate drops to 3.125. If you look into the future, in the year 2140, we have all 21 million Bitcoins mined, and the issuance rate is then 0. From this point on, the miners need to make money with transactions. What is Bitcoin's impact on the world? Everybody can now keep the value of his money. If you are in Argentina, if you are in Turkey, if you are in Venezuela, you probably understand why this is important. The Western world still does not really understand why this is important. If you have hyperinflation, you need a stable currency, and Bitcoin is perfect. With Bitcoin, you can also buy stuff. You can send it from person to person. Nobody's in between. Nobody can stop you from doing it. Where does the future lead us with Bitcoin? We have 100 plus countries exploring CBDCs, central bank digital currencies inspired by the blockchain technology. They have been inspired, but they are going in a total different direction. Bitcoin is freedom money. CBDCs is actually totally the opposite. If you have a CBDC, the government or the controlling entity can shut it down, can make it so the money will just be usable a certain period of time, be just usable in a certain location. Bitcoin is freedom. Bitcoin can be transacted. Bitcoin has no middleman. You can use it 24/7. Global operation, that's not like a bank where they're not there on the weekend or something else, so it's always there. At the moment, we have about a 10-minute average settlement time. This means where the Bitcoin you send will really be settled on the other person's wallet. This can take some minutes. And finally, the conclusion. Why Bitcoin matters. It redefines trust, enables verification without relying on authorities or intermediates. It's very important. You are free. Transforms value transfer, creates a new possibility for how money moves into the digital age. No matter if you have to leave a country, if you want to buy something, if you want to transfer it to a friend, if you want to leave it for your family. These are all very good purposes. And it's still an ongoing experiment. It will show us what digital money can actually do. We see a lot of adoption now. We see big companies, big players, other S&P related companies having Bitcoin reserves, governments having Bitcoin reserves, BlackRock coming in. It will be very exciting to see how this asset develops. We are now in a stage that they are not fighting against us anymore. Now we have to be careful that they're not taking it over. I hope this video was useful, and I see you in my next video. Bye-bye. See you.